Imagine sitting upright in pitch darkness on an alien planet. A few feet away, a woman sleeps, and just past her, something that used to be a human being is waiting for you to close your eyes. The man in the dark is Elwyn Ransom, and he is exhausted. He has been arguing with this possessed corpse for days to protect the innocence of this world. As the night drags on, a desperate thought creeps into his mind. Why doesn't God just step in? He is holding the line, but surely a divine rescue mission should arrive to handle a crisis of this magnitude. This page from C.S. Lewis's Perelandra captures a deeply familiar human instinct. Ransom wonders why the enemy gets to work wonders, while heaven remains silent. We naturally assume that when the stakes are cosmic, the universe should provide a miraculous external solution to relieve us of the burden. The pressure in the darkness becomes physical. Ransom feels a presence that fills every inch of the air, pressing against his lungs and closing in on his skull like a crown of intolerable weight. It is not a rescue, it is an encounter. The intervention Ransom prayed for shifts the battleground entirely. When true cosmic authority makes itself known, it rarely offers a clean escape hatch. Instead, it strips away our comfort and demands we take agonizing responsibility for the problem directly in front of us. Faced with this terrifying presence, Ransom's mind kicks into overdrive. Lewis calls this the voluble self, that frantic, chattering part of the ego that immediately starts generating excuses. It argues that Ransom has talked until he's sick, he's done his absolute best, and whatever happens next is entirely out of his control. The presence in the darkness violently rejects that comfort. If the issue lies in divine hands, Ransom is told that he is those hands. This is not a simulation or a moral test to see how hard he tries. The fate of an entire world actually, mechanically, depends on what he chooses to do in the next few hours. So Ransom pivots to a second defense, insignificance. He is a middle-aged, sedentary scholar from Cambridge. How could the architecture of an uncorrupted planet rely on someone so thoroughly ordinary and unheroic? The scale seems absurd. The flaw in that logic is assuming that grand historical moments are carried out by mythic figures. In reality, the hinge points of history frequently rest on the shoulders of terrified, underqualified people who simply happen to be standing in the gap. Ransom is reminded of the men fighting the Second World War back on Earth. Young, freckled corporals shivering in muddy trenches are waking up to the exact same preposterous truth. The survival of their nations doesn't depend on abstract ideas. It depends entirely on their physical actions in the dark. A stone might be small, but if you place it precisely, it can determine the course of a river. Individual agency works the exact same way. Being ordinary or feeling unready does not exempt you from being the exact stone the river requires. Cornered, Ransom's ego tries one final desperate maneuver. It attempts to intellectualize the conflict. Surely, a battle with the devil implies spiritual warfare, a debate of morals, a contest of wills. Be cold of his enemy's skin, the long metallic nails capable of ripping off strips of flesh and pulling out tendons. Ransom is using the word spiritual as a shield to hide from the grotesque violence he knows is coming. The divine presence cuts through this illusion. The idea that truth and fact, or soul and body, are completely separate things is an earthly mistake, an unhappy division resulting from the fall. In the broader pattern of the universe, the physical and the spiritual are tightly wound together, and the physical facts here are stark. The immortal enemy cannot be killed, but the human body it is using to walk around this planet can be destroyed. That corpse is the only foothold the evil has to operate here. If it is expelled, the invasion ends. The conclusion becomes inescapable. Destroying that body will require Ransom to fight with his fists, his teeth, and his nails. It is a terrifying, messy task, but it is neither impossible nor hopeless. We often want saving the world to be a clean, philosophical exercise, but the ultimate spiritual act on this alien planet strips away all poetry. It demands the most visceral, unglamorous physical courage imaginable, the willingness to fight and bleed. After hours of frantic internal debate, a strange quiet settles over the jungle. The panic burns itself out. Ransom's excuses are finally exhausted, and he accepts the weight of his own name. He is the ransom required for this world. He is still terrified of being killed, but the terror is joined by a cold, objective certitude. The decision has crystallized. The fight tomorrow feels like a historical fact, fixed in time. As the night continues, the distinction between predestination and freedom dissolves. These opposing concepts become exactly the same thing. When you strip away all evasions and align your will perfectly with what you must do, the academic debate evaporates. You freely choose the path, yet the outcome feels absolutely inevitable. The rhetoric of choice and destiny merge entirely. Ransom stops asking, "Why me?" He realizes that if anyone else were standing in his place, the exact same demand would fall on them. The spotlight isn't on him because he is somehow special. It is on him simply because he is here. The miracle Ransom initially demanded never arrives in the way he expected. Instead, the intervention is the act itself, the moment he stops making excuses, accepts his own agency, and finally steps into the dark.